now still in Maui, going to that little airport there. Gonna hop a plane to Lanai. This should be fun. You better buckle up, buckaroos. It's gonna take a ride on the toll road. Here's the main Maui airport, but we're going to take a little walk off to the side and go to a sub-terminal for little planes like the one you see arriving right there. That actually might be my plane. Aloha! Really looking forward to this. This is going to be a unique experience. Tiny little plane here flying over the ocean, or a channel in the ocean, still flying over the ocean. My life is in these two guys' hands. Liftoff, flying out over Maui, and I kind of feel like I'm in first class here. No one's sitting in front of me. I'm kind of in the front row. Actually, there was only two other passengers in the whole plane, and they're behind me. Yeah, this is riding in style. Thing I didn't really think about when you think of Maui, you just think of the beaches, but look, that's like a little crop circle. I don't know exactly what they're growing here, but they have to eat too, and the more they can grow locally, it saves a ton of money from having stuff shipped in, or at least grow something you can sell elsewhere. I know they grow a lot of coffee and other stuff like that here. What we're seeing over here is the east coast of Maui, and where the airport is in the city where I stayed is actually the narrowest point of the entire island. You can drive from one side of the island to the other in, I don't know, half an hour or less. When I'm looking down on these crops, whatever they are, they almost look like in the little turbines in the Midwest, like rows of corn almost. I'm pretty sure they're not growing corn here, but you know, when you get up a few hundred, or what are we up here, maybe 1,000 or so feet, kind of hard to tell. It's rows of crop. Hey, I'm used to seeing corn. We'll call it that till you correct me. Alright, if you look up to the top of the screen there, up to the north, that is the western side of the island. In that short amount of time, just like that, we've crossed from one side of Maui to the other. In just a little bit, we'll be over the channel and Pacific Ocean, and we'll probably get our first view of Lanai here in a little bit. Now the mountain you see to the right, if you were to circle around, we see the ocean, and up to the north there, that is where all the fires they had, wildfires, was that almost 2 years ago, where it really tour the resort town of Lanai, and they're still recovering over there. I didn't make it to that part on this trip, but I did want to visit Maui and at least put a little tourism bucks into the community here. Hopefully that'll trickle to some of the locals and help the rebuilding. Amazing view of the coast here, and we're starting to fly over a little community there, a little town. I'll have to look up and see where I'm over right now. I don't see anybody waving at me. So here on the western part of the island is what they call the leeward side of the island, whereas the east side is the windward side. Basically, that means they're getting the bigger waves on the other side, and you won't see quite as much surfing or that stuff on the leeward side where we are now. Sitting next to an airplane engine, look out the window and see nothing but an engine. I was going to remove all doubt, and I picked this small airline. When I was booking the flight, I don't know if it was on Booking.com or Expedia or one of those sites, but when they list other travel options, this small airline popped up, and I said, yeah, this looks pretty interesting. Might have cost just a hair more, definitely taken longer, slower plane, plus I'm flying into Lanai and making a layover there before I hop over to Honolulu. But hey, never been to Lanai before, and I think probably a lot of you out there have never been there before either, so this will give you a good aerial view of that, and hopefully it'll be interesting. If not, well, it'll just be like most of my other videos. With a window seat and lower elevation on a plane like into the airport, kind of near Lanai City. I think we've got like a 70 or 80-mile flight in total. But at their closest 2 points, which you're seeing right now, and that's the tip right there, that's the tip of Maui and the tip of Lanai. There's only a 9-mile difference between the two. So if you think you're a real powerful swimmer and you want to give a chance and beat those currents, more power to you. But I suggest bringing some sort of floaty with you, just in case. So as we're approaching Lanai, we'll be coming from obviously the east and then the southern end of the island, flying into the airport. And I think when we leave, we'll get to see the other half of Lanai. It's the 6th largest of the Hawaiian Islands, and I think we'll probably get to see a majority of it from the air. You can thank me later. Oh, and by the way, I checked the weather, and it is 75 and sunny here on the toll road, so you gotta like that. And my huge recommendation is for any of you out there that have been to Hawaii before or who have not been to Hawaii before, get a chance, if it's in your budget and your time constraints, do a little island hopping. Find a plane like this, or maybe one of those Magnum PI, TC helicopters to jump you from island hopping to island hopping, because this is unreal. This is like I call it once in a lifetime, because it's only been once in my lifetime so far. But yes, highly recommend this. This is, I believe the word I'll use today is incredible. Here you might be saying, hey, I don't see any resorts really, or towns or villages. It's because not many people live here. Population's only in the 3,000 range, and it's been historically, through time, it's been low. There's only really one major quote city, Lanai City. They've got just one school, K through 12 for the entire island here. Hospital with only a couple dozen beds in it. So it's I believe Gilligan would say primitive as primitive can be. spot as we come in slowly for our landing here. I know somewhere near the airport, it's a few miles, I believe, to the west of it. There's something called it's a cat sanctuary. They got a lot of problem with feral cats, and they'll take them to this spot here, feed them, take care of them. People can visit it. People can adopt them too. Process of bringing a cat into Hawaii, horrific. But to take a cat out, there are a lot more less red tape for you. So, hey, if you want to have a Hawaiian cat, go to Lanai, pick one up. Tell them I sent you. Probably won't get a discount, but hey, it might make you cool. Now, Lanai is also known as the Pineapple Island. It was owned almost completely by the Dole Company and was where pineapples were grown here for close to a century. They stopped production because of labor costs, shipping and all that in, I believe, 1992. But there's got to be some wild pineapples down there somewhere still, right? This is the biggest airport I've ever been at. Wish it. Duly noted. Just a quick look at the airport, and this is just about the whole thing almost. I was able to find a quicker flight, so what would have been a few hour layover is almost a stop and go here. flight from Lanai to Honolulu is just over 70 miles. It's pretty similar distance, I guess, from the Maui flight to here. So that was a good halfway point for me. Get out, stretch your legs a little bit. I don't know if you noticed this particular airplane didn't have a beverage service, didn't have a restroom, so yeah, probably a good thing it's not that long of a flight. Couple more people on this flight, so I guess I'm not first class anymore. Oops. So you might look down on this land and say, "Oh man, there's plenty of open space there. I could build a homestead here. I could move here. Looks like it's all open. Who owns it? Who do I contact?" Well, I can tell you without even looking up Zillow who owns the land you're looking at right down there. This island, everything you see on both sides, 98% of it is owned by Luther Ellison. Now, you might know who he is, you might not. He's one of the richest guys in the world. He's the Oracle guy. He bought this land up from what was left over from the Dole Company, which I was talking about earlier, the pineapple people. When they closed up shop in 92, they held on to it, the company, for about 20 years. And I think it was 2012 that Luther Ellison bought it all up, said he was going to put some development into it. I think he built a 4-season resort. I don't know about infrastructure or what else he's done. But yeah, he's like the King Kamehameha now of Lanai. One man owns 98% of what you're seeing right here. He must have more money than me. Now, you were asking when I say 98%, well, what about the other 2%, Toll? The other 2% is kind of divided up. The government of Hawaii has a little bit of land, and there actually are some individual landowners here. I think most of them date back to some of the original people that have been here for generation after generation. And if you're wondering how much did Luther Ellison pay for 98%? Actually, here's another question. If I'm buying that much of something, I want 100%. How did he let that happen? Anyways, for that 98% of Lanai, he paid $300 million, which, yes, is a lot of money, but actually doesn't seem like that much money to buy an entire island of this size. Man, I wonder how much, or if I should save up some money and buy a Hawaiian island. I do also know that Zuckerberg, the Facebook dude, he owns a lot of Kauai, another Hawaiian island. Not nearly as much percentage as Ellison does here, but quite a bit. As far as tourism on this island, there's really not much. It's one of the lower visited islands. I think Molokai and Lanai are near the bottom of the major islands. When they do come here, they do have that 4-season resort. I think there's another resort and a couple of golf courses, of course. And plenty of space for that too. Actually, it'd be a beautiful place to play golf, but I wonder how much a round would cost there. I mean, just getting there, staying there, playing there. I mean, that's got to be, with card, $30 a round. That long stretch of island we see across there, I do believe that is Molokai. It kind of is north of Maui and south of Oahu, so it'll be with us for a good chunk of our journey here. Kind of something to look at besides the great blue wonder out there. That is the final bit of Lanai that I'll see on this trip. It was a short visit, Lanai, but it was a good one. Miss you much. Maybe we'll come back someday and get a cat. Molokai and open ocean for the remainder of this trip till we get to the sights of Honolulu. But flying like this, it gives you a perspective of just one, how close the islands are, but also how far away they are. I'm just thinking about how each one of these islands have their own separate culture in, and how King Kamehameha from the big island moved over and took Oahu and took over Maui and these other islands. Going from one of these islands to the other, yeah, you can see them. It's just water, but that's ocean water, and there are some real strong currents between these islands, and that's one of the reasons why there's planes puddle jumping and helicopters and not really ferry boats. It's just, how much power you had to take to use the ferry boats. It wasn't cost effective to do it, and it's cheaper actually to have planes taking people over. Another thing to think about when one island's raiding the other one or attacking them, you would think it'd be real easy to see them coming. They're going to be on a bunch of boats and ships coming across. You would think as soon as they got foot on land, you'd have the advantage on them. I guess they must have did their own version of a D-Day raid to take them, but I couldn't see giving up the beachhead to the invaders. Close to our last views of Molokai, one of the 9 major islands of the Hawaiian chains. Really, a lot of people only think of a handful of the islands when you think of Hawaii. But there's 9 major islands, and if you count all the islands, there's hundreds of them, and there's probably more coming. The lava keeps flowing. It's coming out somewhere. That's how the original ones were created. New ones are being formed, and the old ones are actually wearing away. The surf's taking parts of them. Eventually, I guess they'll go back to the ocean. of Oahu, which means we've almost made it.
Just missed it.
That is Honolulu and Waikiki right there. And I know it looks kind of small from up here, but you can trust your old buddy told me it gets bigger when you get closer. Wow, you can kind of tell too on the western side here on Honolulu, sun's shining on it, but look at those giant clouds getting caught up in the mountains of Hawaii. Yeah, it's probably a little bit of rain going on over on the east side, but do I care? No, I'm going to be on the west side. West side! Kind of a faint view of Diamond Head here today too. Make it off in the distance. Always nice. The 50th state of Hawaii. And who knows? Who knows? No, really. Who knows where the toll road will lead to next?